Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a fantastic Friday. As always, we are going to be dropping another jam-packed daily cryptocurrency market update. And if you are new to this channel and finding yourself on my videos for the first time today, don't forget to check out that subscribe button because we drop an update just like this one around 1 p.m. UK time every single day to help you guys stay up to date with the latest and greatest things happening within the crypto space, but also the broader markets. Is exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. Something pretty huge just happened in regards to the money supply, and we will be getting round to that. We're going to be looking at the correlation between the money supply, M2, and assets, and why what just took place with the money supply is a great thing. And this is what markets were expecting as they are forward looking, which is why we've had a rally across most of risk. And today is a big day for risk as we have non-farm payroll. Now, this is where we get economic stats for the United States in regards to the labor market. The labor market is one of Jerome Powell's mandates in regards to wanting to see a strong one, and that is giving him the kind of cover to keep rates where they are. And on Wednesday, he came out and he really kind of said that a rate hike was off the table for now. And I actually think all of this was a distraction for what was going on in regards to QT. He actually said he was going to start tapering off and winding down QT, which is good because we've had QT kind of sucking liquidity. We've had QE from the Treasury, which has really dwarfed and kind of null and void the QT. But that QT is now starting to taper off with rates where they are, meaning that increased spending, which is ultimately liquidity for the markets. We're going to be looking at all that, and then we're going to be talking about Bitcoin from a technical level. We're going to be looking at a clip, or a tweet, I should say, from Robert Kiyosaki, who, of course, is the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He's wrote a number of different books like Broke. I've got some of them behind me. Great books. But I tend to find he's a forever doomsday individual. Gold bugs typically are. They're kind of waiting for the collapse of the system, but most of them have been waiting for 50, 60 years. It will come eventually, and they will be very right all of a sudden, just like XRP holders, I believe. But they have to be wrong and kind of jaw things for a long period of time. But generally, gold and silver, you know, if in the space of its lifespan, you're really arbitraging a proliferation game. But is it the fastest horse? Has it been the fastest horse? No. Will it one day? Perhaps. And tomorrow, I'm going to be dropping an insane or a really in-depth video in regards to why the countdown for the end of the fiat systems is upon us and how crypto is going to fare from now until that collapse takes place. So do watch out for that. Another quick announcement is I have just started my 1 to 100k challenge with my Patreons, where I take 5 altcoins and try and get or put $1,000 split between 3 of them, so 200 or 5 of them, 200 in each, and I'm going to try and get to $100,000. Will I get there? Won't I get there? We'll see, but I'm going to give it my best shot. So we have a hell of a lot to get into, guys. Let's dive into it, and let's start off with what is taking place today in regards to non-farm payroll. You have an expectation, or the forecast for this is 238,000. The previous one, this has been beat on this. However, any kind of a slowing down in this is going to, I think, increase the probability of interest rate cuts. And it's really, importantly for us in regards to the risk sector, going to lean on the dollar. Now, I have a bigger plan for the dollar in regards to it coming down to the lower band of this channel that you've been in since 2008. This narrative is what, or this technically doing that would signal our bull market for the cryptocurrency space. It would help it. Dollar going down is typically good for risk. It's been going up recently and strong, which has been leaning on risk. And that's really what's been going on. People love to attach a narrative, but markets are very mechanical. When you pull one lever, something pops up and vice versa. So this is really what's important about today is how this affects the dollar. Interest rates affect the dollar. We want interest rates to come down, and we might be looking potentially at the collapse of yields. This would be, certainly one for the history books, but this would be potentially massive for risk. There are pivots in regards to monetary policy have typically been bearish. At a certain point, because the reason they pivot is to they kind of come in and save the markets, and they've got that in their arsenal. However, it's a different kind of regime that we're in because they kind of, they can just print money to stimulate everything, and which is kind of the reaction that they've done each and every time, and they're going to continue to do. So I don't think we're getting that crash just yet. Today's significant because if you look at what the dollar is currently doing, hopefully the dollar rolls. Remember, we want the dollar to roll to see risk do well. And today you might get a little bit of clarity on that in regards to non-farm payroll. And if this comes out weak, this is definitely going to affect what the Fed is going to do. So this is going to be interesting. Again, dollar down. It's no coincidence that even today, even on the short-term time frames, they're just very correlated. Put the SPY on. Perhaps not the SPY, actually, because SPY's not doing well. Let's just put Bitcoin on, which we've now got in baby blue. But you can see this with this strength, and it's now sort of starting to pick its feet up a little bit. So dollar down, crypto up, vice versa. It's going to be an interesting day. Let's talk about something huge that's happening with the money supply. And that is, or before I do that, I want to show something very interesting from Peter Brandt. So one of the reasons there's been a strong dollar is because of fears around inflation. It's why we saw that alleviation of markets on Wednesday with Jerome Powell's comments about not hiking. I think inflation is going sideways and it's a bump in the road that ultimately we're in a bigger trend that we don't need to deviate from until we do. If you look at inflationary stats, they're largely just going sideways. This is natural gas. Now, this is from Peter Brandt. I'm actually becoming quite a fan of Peter Brandt. I like traditional technical analyzers. This is hammering on a floor at real lows. You could be looking for a bit of a slip in natural gas. We're going into summer. I think inflation eases off as we go into summer and kind of alleviates the markets a little bit. What I want to do is talk about what's happened in regards to the money supply. Now, my face is perfectly in the way here, but if I shrink myself for a little bit, you can see for the first time in a long time, since 2022, we now have a positive money supply, which is amazing. Now, why is this significant? Well, we also have, and this is from Lynn Alden, in both the US, in the US, both monetary base and broad money supply are increasing again. They bottomed in 2023 despite ongoing Fed balance sheet reduction, mainly due to Treasury duration shortening, which helped pull capital back out of the reserve repo, reverse repo, and back into banks. Why is this relevant? Well, this is a chart, and Bitcoin kind of ruins it a little bit, of assets, gold, the SPY. We could have put really any on here. We could have put housing on here. We could have put anything. And of course, Bitcoin and the money supply. As the money supply goes up, this is the great game. It's a proliferation game. So do assets. And ultimately, the money supply has now just flipped back to positive. So this is absolutely huge. This is generally a bullish thing for markets. Markets would have known this is coming. They're not stupid, and insiders are privy to information way before we are. And they'd have adjusted as a result of all this. And we're now seeing this coming. This is generally very bullish. This is huge. Again, this is the first time really since 2022, that we've actually seen the money supply become positive once again. It's liquidity for markets. It aligns with global liquidity cycles, aligns with technically what we're looking at for Bitcoin and crypto more broadly, and is ultimately going to see likely this bull market continuation. I do apologize there, guys, jumping around with the screens. Let's talk about Bitcoin because we've not spoken about it in a little while. This was a little bit toppy, although we're very hesitant and we continue to stay hesitant on calling short on Bitcoin in an uptrend. People on this sell-off have got way too overzealous. I'm seeing people calling for 20K, 30K, 40K. Just relax. You're in a broader uptrend. Don't try and play each and every move. There'll be a little bit of hesitation going into the jobs report today at 1:30. But just be on the right side of the broader trend, and I think you'll do just fine. There's no need to kind of be too intricate. And this is certainly if you're new to crypto and you don't have trading or investment experience prior, just get the broader trend right, which is an upward one. Very obviously, not just for Bitcoin, for risk generally, all on the back end of the proliferation of the fiat system. So Bitcoin doesn't look too bad. Total doesn't look too bad. The last thing that I want to come on to is a warning from Robert Kiyosaki. He's got some bad news to share with you. Bad news, crash has begun. It will be a bad one. Good news, crashes are the best time to get rich. Bargains will float to the surface. Robert Kiyosaki has been calling for a crash as long as a major crash, like an end of fiat system crash, for as long as I've been about. It will come, and it's going to come on the back end of debt losing its value and just collapsing, basically. And that will collapse the fiat systems. That is something I do believe we'll see in our lifetime. Again, we always question the origins of Bitcoin because of just how divine and kind of well-timed it was. Don't catch a falling knife is rule number one. Just because prices are falling, do not get greedy. Wait till prices have bottomed and no one wants the asset you want. The only way you're going to be able to do this is technically, by the way. You're going to need to be able to technically assess the market, something I do teach in my Patreon. Again, we've also started that 1 to 100K challenge. We might be out of spaces. We can maybe open some up. depending on how much sort of demand we get. So study YouTube is a great source for real fake teachers. Invest time to get into the heads of these teachers. New friends, seek new friends who are on the same path as you. Start a side hustle, own your own business. Choose great teachers. He's talking about YouTube again, and don't save money. Well, I mean, you kind of, if a crash scenario happens, actually the dollar becomes king. But what happens if the crash that takes place is because dollar and the fiat systems are the reason for it? It's a tricky time I think we've got ahead of us, but we'll try and, help people as much as we can through it. It's not here yet. I think there's a major run for assets going to take place. And again, it's on the back end of the proliferation of the fiat systems, which is going to accelerate, is accelerating. We saw today, obviously, M2 gain for the first time and go positive for the first time since 2022. And I think assets are going to love this. Again, we have non-farm payroll today, which is going to be significant. We want to see that weakening dollar. That's going to support risk. We really just ran into a bump in the road with inflation fears, supporting the dollar, supporting yields, the kind of anti-risk category. I do think we're going to see a reversion in that in regards to the broader trend that's now in place, which is one that sees risk do well. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you. Look out for tomorrow's video. It's going to be a great one in regards to the fact that the countdown has begun in regards to the failing of the fiat systems, and what can you do, what's going to perform well from now until then. And we show you technically why we have merit for all that. Have a fantastic Friday. I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching.